Hi guys, this is Ryuki Cosplay, and today we're gonna be making Shadowheart's costume from Baldur's Gate 3. I am so excited because this is my first 3D printing project, and most of it is actually 3D printed because I wanted the armor to not crease up on my chest. I wanted it to look really solid. I wanted it to look perfect and like actual armor. So I had a crazy idea. Why don't I try 3D printing? My friend actually had a 3D printer. I basically did the craziest thing, and I boot camped at my friend's place for a week and intruded on his life just to learn how to 3D print. I hope, if anything, my process of staying there for a whole week doing nothing but 3D printing is gonna help you guys somehow, some way. This is a beginner's tip to making a costume as well as 3D printing. See you guys at the end. Well, the first step is to add another project to your list even though you're not done with the one at home, and then head out to buy some fabrics. I was actually making Orin the same time I decided to do this, so I was dying on the inside, just a little bit. I got some leather for the chest piece, I got some brown fabric, purple fabric, gray fabric, as well as a spandex beige fabric for the pants. I had to find some chainmail fabric on Etsy, and I thought I was being big brained, but there were a lot of problems that came in the end, and I'll go through that in a bit. I grabbed the black leotard that I have, and I basically outlined the pattern onto my gray fabric. This is my very first layer of clothing on the inside of the leather breastplate. Once the chainmail fabric came in, I fondled with it. Here's some pros and cons about it. So it is very lightweight. You can move around easier in it because it's soft. It's definitely faster than making your own chainmail, and it might even be cheaper than ready-made chainmail. But it is super thin, so you might have to layer it, and it is very easy to fray. I had to layer this on top of the gray fabric, and it got hooked plenty of times with my armor. Well, the reason why I went with the fabric chainmail was because I didn't want a bulky looking costume, and this was pretty good because I could see the waistline and it looks slim and slender. While I was talking about all that, I've been working on the leather breastplate, and it was a pretty simple pattern. 6 pieces stuck together. Bingo. This is the chainmail outfit, and what I'm doing here is basically merging 2 shirts into one. I don't know how to explain this. Let me pull up a picture. Instead of having 3 layers, which is the purple shirt, the chainmail, and then the leather breastplate, I'm merging the purple shirt and the chainmail into one. So I only had to make a purple collar, and I didn't have to make the whole shirt. It's way too hot here to have 3 layers of clothing. Here I am drafting out the pattern for the skirt. Shadowheart's skirt is angled towards the front with a little bit of paneling, so we have to use some interface to make it poof. Once I'm done sewing the layers, I cut off the seams, and we're pretty much done. All we have to do is flip it inside out and put it on the mannequin because you kind of want to see how it looks like again. Like I said, there's multiple layers involved. This is the chainmail skirt layer. God, it was hot. This was a hot costume. Using some EVA foam and the leftover leather that I had, I made the arm Vambrace. And honestly, it turned out so much better than I thought. I sort of got the proportions down, give or take game models versus, real life. And this is the painful process of creating the panels. After patting it, you go at it again and again and again and again in straight lines until it creates that poof, that poof. The result is so satisfactory. It is perfect. Now that most of the base is done, all we have to do is work on the tight pants, which I'm gonna make into a pair of yoga pants, and the armor. No feet for you! I think the yoga pants idea kinda did really well. You might be wondering what I'm doing. I am hand sewing little line patterns that she has on her pants. Because this is my first 3D printing project, I have not learned how to model a product. So I bought this template of Cults 3D, which I will link down below. Learning how to use the software was like the hardest part because I messed up for like the first 3 days. The printing kept failing, but eventually I kinda got it. In 3D printing for dummies, basically that green stuff that you see, that's basically a base that your 3D print is gonna build on, and it's like its foundation. So you kinda need it to be sturdy so it doesn't fall over and create this. By the way, the green stuff, you kinda rip it off because you really don't need it. It's actually a waste. You want to use as little waste or filament as you can for the foundation, but for a weird shape like this, I can't help it. But hey, the product came out good, huh? After printing, you're not done. You still have to sand it. Well, that's an option that you can choose. I already went this far and boot camped for that long, so I might as well make it perfect, right? Here's the difference between not sanding it and sanding it. Drastic. So I go through a 3-part process of sanding. The first layer would be a very coarse sanding paper of 150 grit. And then you move on to a not so coarse paper on the second step. I'm using a 333 grit sandpaper for this step. And the last part about sanding, to make sure you have a proper finish, you want to go into wet sanding. Basically, you get some water and you get the thinnest, finest sandpaper you can find. I'm using 800 grit paper. You put some water on the item and then you sand it, and it should look sparkly. Like this. Now that everything is sanded down, we want to prime the items before we get on to painting them, so that the paint sticks really well and it has a nice finishing. You can use anything to prime, it doesn't have to be Plasti Dip, because Plasti Dip is really expensive by where I am, so I use this other brand. On to painting her Spear of Night. Painting is kinda mundane and the same all the time. So just grab some silver paint, some black spray paint to give some shading to the silver, make it look a little bit of gunmetal than just flat silver. Using absolute precision and some paper tape, I taped up the corners that I wanted to remain silver, and I sprayed the middle gold. And this be the most satisfying part of it all, removing the tape. And you can see the precise thin lines that you've created using the paint. Okay, ripping off the tape did kind of fuck it up a little bit, but I'll fix it. The last part was just to wear it and show it off on stage. I'm so in love with the way it came out, and here are some pictures from my photo shoot. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. Yes, I'm a gatekeeper and hater. I'm also God's favorite princess and the most interesting girl in the world. Why is she so sassy?